Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the PLA podcast. I have an incredible guest here that I'm truly looking forward of interviewing. Varad, welcome. It's such a treat to have you on today.
Thank you, Dunia. Same here. Pleasure's mine.
An absolute treat. I would love to formally introduce you to our audience before we jump into our formal questions and dive deep into this conversation. So I just wanted to run through that and get the audience to get to know you and your story and your experience a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, welcome. We're speaking to Varad today, a data professional with 20 plus years in data and analytics. He's a senior data engineer at Moby for Life in Minneapolis. His background includes data analysis, ETL development, BI architecture, data governance, and Varad is known for using data to drive real world impact, especially in health outcomes. Outside of work, he's a family man with 2 kids and a supportive partner. And he's an avid runner with a marathon and over 10 half marathons in from Tamil Nadu in South India, fluent in Tamil, and once taught the language for an entire year. He also performs Parai, a traditional Indian drums, and he's passionate about sustainable living, plastic-free initiatives, ethics in AI, social equity, and physical and mental well-being. Brad, it's such a treat to have you on the PLA podcast today.
Thank you, Dunia. Thanks for your introduction.
It's such a treat. It's so lovely to be able to introduce my guests, especially you with all of this background and also this absolute love and passion for mental health and well-being. It's such a treat.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd love to know, if someone were to give you a piece of advice at the very beginning of your career with all of this experience over the years and everything that you've learned and moved through, what do you wish it had been?
Thank you, Dunia. That's a great question. If I had to go back and if somebody has given me an advice, I would say setting strict boundaries with work. The reason I say so is because that's how I moved into the being an advocate for health and wellness. Because at the start of the career, I have spent more time working and then less time thinking about myself or health and other aspects of my life. Of course, life is a balance. We can't give everything for work and then take the rest, take care of itself. That doesn't happen at all. So that is where I thought that initially, not only for me, for anybody who's starting their career or any phase of their career they have to have a strict boundaries with how much time they work and what they do, because productivity is not about like how much time you work, it's about like how much you deliver in the time that you work. So that is in my opinion. So that's why I thought that, okay, so that's a very important part. If I had done that, I would have been like more productive, have achieved like much better things in life compared to like just putting in hours and then just waiting for things to happen. So that would be my answer to your question: setting strict boundaries with work.
Beautiful. You're really making me think, and it's not a thought I've had on the PLA podcast before, but this piece around what we do outside of work is deeply important in how it affects our work.
Definitely.
And there's this thing, and it's funny, I hadn't, even though it's something we do think about at times, but we don't think about it directly, it'd be oftentimes indirect. I love that piece around if I build a lifestyle that's sustaining of my energy, then the
Mhm.
quality of my work, it's actually not the quantity of my work, the quality of my work will go up. And so many of us are overly focused on the number of hours we're pouring into our projects versus the quality of those hours. So I
Correct.
love truly what you've shared about that.
Thank you.
I'm curious. I want to dig deeper in this question just because there's so much here. What have you done outside of work? I know there's the marathon running and really training for that. What have you done outside of work to really, sustain that health and wellness that you've seen help that increase that productivity quite a bit?
Thank you, Dunia. I guess like it might be not only helpful for me, for other listeners as well. Just to share, I started focusing on my health in terms of like healthy eating, and also running is one thing that helped me to figure out who I am, and then it also helped me to clear out the thoughts and things in my mind. So that's something which I started doing outside of work. And one other thing which have transformed me completely is like mindfulness and meditation. So I've been doing this for close to 6 7 years now, and then it has totally transformed me from who I was before to who I am now. So those are the things outside of work, like healthy eating and mindfulness, running, and even now working out. Like I do strength training, like a minimum of 4 days in a week. So those are all some things which I attribute my quality of work to. So if I want to perform well in my work, I have to do all these things outside of work. So that helps me my energy, because end of the day, the work that we are doing is involves like a lot of mind. If you have, your brain has to be in a super charged energy level in order for you to perform best at your work. So that is where the things that I do outside of work helps me in contributing much better way in the work that I do.
Wow, beautiful. And I love that piece around like even mindfulness and meditation, what what you're feeding, like what you're feeding yourself, what you're eating is really helping that brain health. And I love that piece that you shared around the running helping clear your mind. I think having a practice of some sort, whether it's, meditation or running or some kind of activity, so key. And I invite our listeners to really think back and to do a little bit of reflection on what are the things that are already in their schedules that are helping them clear their minds. And if not, what could they start implementing as strategies? So I love that you've shared so many of them with us today.
Thank you, Dunia.
I'm curious, oftentimes we talk about all these wonderful things that have happened in our career, and, we think it's rosy and it's been amazing. And oftentimes when we look at other people's careers, we must say, wow, it was a smooth sailing the whole way through. But really what we've come to notice, through our life and through our experiences, it's really through the challenges that we learn more than ever. And so I'd love to know, what were the greatest challenges of your career and how have you grown from them? Like, what have you learned and how have you transformed from those experiences?
Yes, definitely, Dunia. That's a great question. As you pointed out, not everybody's career is rosy. So it has like downfalls and highs and ups. But those down moments are where it teaches you a lot. Even in my career, like I have faced downfalls, but I don't call that as downfall. But those were the moments to really go back to myself and figure out like what am I lacking, how am I going to improve myself so that this same situation doesn't happen again, right? So that is what helped me with. And I would say if I had to go back, seeking mentorship, right? So in my career going back, many a times I haven't sought out for mentorship actively. So if I have done that, most of the challenges that I faced, I would have handled it much better way. So mentorship and getting inputs from people, because we are always good at clarifying things for others than clarifying things for ourselves, right? So that is where I felt that on a periodic basis, if I had sought out mentors and then spoke to them and then asked them for like how I can get to the challenges that I'm facing. So rather than fighting all by myself, I would have got better advice and insights so that I could have applied on the challenges that I faced. But nevertheless, I don't want to I don't want, if I had to go back, I don't want to lose out on those instances where I had those failures and setbacks, because those are essential for my growth. So even looking forward, I would definitely, I'm looking for those failure or those moments. So I'm like curious to know like what are they going to teach me. So there is no better teacher than those like failures and the struggles and challenges. That's what I would say. But with a great mentor, you can get to those challenges.
Beautiful. I love this, and you're right. No path is really uh, excused from these challenges and these storms that really build us into who we are. I'd love to know who were the greatest mentors, or these important mentors to you along your journey and path, and what have you learned from them?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say some mentors in my work and also outside of work. I do have some friends whom I met during my running journey. So who have been like my mentors for like long period of time, right? So there are, yes, of course you do have friends, but friends can be mentored, yeah, but luckily, but most cases they see you from who you were earlier, then they will not see you for who you're becoming, right? So that is where like your second level acquaintances would be really helpful. Those who you meet after like certain age level, so are becoming your mentors. So that way, I would say I had a run group, and folks from my run group became my mentors. So there are like directors and there are like PhD scientists in my run group. So I used to go to them and ask them for any kind of advice, even with respect to work or with life or anything like that. So that is where I got my clarity. I like this occasion to thank all those folks who helped me out. Same way, not only for seeking for mentorship, I also mentor people who
Yeah.
are looking for help and support in their life, right? So I am a firm believer of once you give more, that's when you get back. So you cannot expect something to come to you right away without giving anything. So that way, I just go out and look for people who are in need, and then provide them the support and mentorship. It need not be like physical or even financial help. It's something like an advice to help them to go from one level to a different level. So that's also mentorship. That's how I'm doing it. And luckily, by way of doing it, I'm also getting my mentorship somewhere or the other.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love this. I think that it's so beautiful that, you've received so much from mentorship, and it's your chance even to give back in so many ways. And you're right, some of these mentors end up changing the course of our life. And I love that, even the power of community. I know you didn't verbally say it or directly say it, but that this thing around, this passion around running has allowed you to connect to a community of people with so much skill level, with so
Yeah.
much and their own expertise and so much value, that you've been able to draw so much from them, and that's incredible, truly.
Okay.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm curious, Rod, we're seeing so many changes in the world right now, especially with the onset of AI and it coming to, the masses. And I'd love to get your perspective and take on how you're seeing things change and evolve and your experience with it.
Yeah. Thank you, Dunia. I guess the right question for the right time. In my opinion, AI is not a magic bullet. It has a capability, but at the same time, there are things which it cannot do. We, as the users, have to understand that limitation. And also, one thing which I can correlate to is AI is like a well trained horse. Yes, it can perform, run, like do things really well, but it requires a skilled jockey or a trainer to control it and then take it to a specific direction. Like that direction set, and then everything has to be done by a jockey. The similar way, though Gen AI is booming and then making like great leaps and bounds, we as the users have to have a control of that in order to make it function properly. And one more point I want like to add is there are both good and bad things about AI, but we are over amplifying the good and then we are underplaying the bad impacts that AI is bringing in. Something to share about is like the data centers, the amount of shared resource like water that they need in order to cool down those data centers is all taken up from the earth. So there is an environmental impact of AI to the world, and also for people. In order to train these models, we are employing people from the third world countries, so who are used extensively for this ones, and as due to which like their mental health is also having an impact. So we should have both ways of looking at AI. Yes, it is great, it is helpful in many ways, but at the same time we should also be cognizant and mindful of the impacts of it. The reason I say so is only that way we can make the AI companies, the companies which are pouring in like billions of dollars, be accountable for the environmental impact they create, and also set up some guardrails around like, yes, I'm going to invest so $1 million, but how much of money is going into making sure the environmental impacts are also taken care of. That is what my take on it. But AI is super good. I'm using it, but mindfully using it.
Beautiful, Rod. No one's brought this up on the podcast up to date, really, on the environmental impacts of AI. And I had briefly heard about it through a PLA session a little while back, and no one had yet mentioned it. And I think you're right. So many people are overlooking the environmental impacts because they're in some ways so in awe and so impressed with the value that it's adding, but there is something really powerful and it's something important to be said about these pieces and being much more mindful with how we're using these things. And so it brings me actually to a question that's slightly related, but not quite, more so on your answer. Where did this love for the environment come from? Because it's a true passion of yours, and I really wanted to dig a little deeper on that.
Yeah, certainly, Dunya, I can share my insights. So, growing up, I was living in a village, and I've seen the fields, and I've experienced the nature firsthand, right? So that is where my love of nature came in. And I have a friend in my college, so who has started an initiative to grow trees across my hometown and all the places nearby. So it also inspired me to give back, right? And eventually, like my forefathers are all like agriculturists, so that is what the occupation they all had. And even if I go back to my hometown right now, I look at all those fields which are like completely reduced right now because of all the industrialization and everything. So that reminds me of the roots, right? So that's exactly where we came from. And if of course, the modern world has transitioned us from where we were to a somewhat a different level of profession and things like that. But going back to the roots and understanding is really helpful. And of course, we cannot live without the environment. And we need to ensure that we protect it, at the same time safeguard it, to ensure that it is available not only for us, but for the future generations. So that is my take on it. But yeah, I do have a great passion for environmental safety and protection.
Amazing. And I love that, it brings you right back to your childhood. And you're right. Like, the world will only thrive really when we come back to our roots and we take into consideration the environmental impacts of the decisions that we're making, because we're
Mhm.
not getting another earth.
Yeah,
This is what we
yeah,
have.
yeah,
This is the home we have, and we might as well take care of it and
yes,
be very mindful of it.
correct.
I'd love to know, this definitely brings me to my next question that I absolutely love asking on the PLA podcast. And I love that we've talked about like your passions and everything. What is the legacy and impact you're still looking forward to leaving behind in the world?
Yeah, sure, Dunya. Um, if I have to look back, just starting from my career, so I started off in the IT services industry. If I have to go back and then if I have to leave a legacy, I would say yes, I've done things, but there are certain things which needs to be addressed. For example, like the health and wellness of the folks who are working in the IT industry, right? So that is always not being openly discussed. The reason being, like I do see people like a couple of days back, I had a message from my friend who was a super performer. She was my colleague, and she was a super performer. And recently, she's having challenges with the health and even mental well-being. So I told her that I will call her and then talk to her in another 2 more days. But that being said, the impact that the industry is creating on the folks who are working is like profound. It's that's the reason why I wanted to be an advocate of health and wellness in this IT services sector, wherein like yes, the companies need people, but they don't tell them that how long they work and what's the impact it's going to create, the type of work it's going to create on their health, and which is like both physical and mental well-being. But just going back to my answers on like setting clear boundaries and making sure that the folks are investing time both on their health as well as work, ensures that they have a long journey, right? So it's not like a sprint. Life is not like a sprint. It's not that they're going to run sprint and then take rest forever. No, that's not going to happen. I would consider life as a marathon, right? So they need to conserve their energy and ensure that it is there for them and the family for years to come. So in order for that to happen, they should have clear boundaries. At the same time, the companies should also ensure that the folks who they're employing are being mindfully thought about in terms of their health and well-being. It's mutual responsibility, but that's what I would say I would advocate for and leave a legacy for advocating these health and wellness in this IT services sector.
That's amazing, and I love that, and I actually think it's far more beneficial to a company than they realize by
Mhm.
investing in the health and well-being of their employees, because
Definitely.
productivity, creativity, resilience, grit, teamwork, mood, everything goes up when the health and well-being of an employee is at its peak state, truly.
Definitely. No, I can't agree more.
Oh, I'm excited, Brad, and I'm excited to see what you're going to continue to create with this in this field
Sure.
and continue to leave an impact. We are on the PLA podcast, so of course I have to ask you, what has been the biggest takeaway you've gotten out of the PLA community?
Yes, great question, Dunia. For me, the takeaway was just being in here in this community itself is a transformative effect for me. The reason is no, everybody over here are with a growth mindset, and they are here to transform themselves and also transform others. We all have like lows and highs. At the same time, we are all having some skills, and there are certain skills that we are not good at. But just being in this community and then learning from each other, I would say yes, the coaches are like phenomenal, but not only the coaches, but my fellow PLA members are also teaching me a lot of things day in and day out. Not only that, I also volunteer and go in and help and support people who are like coming up. So that way they feel motivated and energized. And it's kind of a holistic thing, right? I firmly believe that success is not a one-person game. It
Yeah.
is it is a team effort. And in PLA, that is what I'm seeing. Everybody is everybody's winning, but at the same time, the team is also winning. That's how I'm looking at it. PLA has given me um, a lot of things like courage, the speaking up, and the communication. Has improved me or transformed me from what I was like 3 or 6 months back to where I am right now. I'm sure by following this journey, I would be a transformative person. It's I'm thinking that it's not only for me, right? It's for my family. So when I transform myself, I would be a person for the community. I can just go back to the folks whom I know and then transform themselves as well. So that way it's a ripple effect. That's why I'm saying PLA.
I love that. And I love that it's not just the skills that you've gotten. You brought a really important point of it's a give and take community in the sense
Right.
where so many of our not just the founders have poured unbelievable amounts into the community, but also the members have poured so much of themselves into each other and their expertise, which brings me to this other piece that I wanted to share and ask you about. This evening, you're going to be hosting a PLA session and you're going to be teaching the community about an incredible topic. I'd love for you to share with the audience just for a couple minutes.
Wonderful, wonderful, Vinay. Thank you. Yes, this is my first presentation in PLA. This is called Essentialism, the discipline of less, right? The discipline pursuit of less. I had to correct it. This is one of the topics that was close to my heart. Recently, I stumbled upon this topic, and then I got like overly into it.
Wow.
This is something I felt that it's relevant for the times that we are having right now, because we do have like so much things to do, right? It's not about the less, it's about more. We have like more choices, we have like more things to do, and more things to accomplish, a lot of metrics, a lot of tools, and a lot of technologies, right? So that is where I felt the need for this topic. And when I started after getting into the book and also listening to this author, I felt that yes, this is the essential or part that we are looking for at this point. So I'm more than excited than everybody else to give this topic, because what I felt was yes, I'll take examples from my own life. That way, it will help people to relate and then get some takeaways from here and then design it, right? Because if we don't prioritize our life, somebody else will do that for us.
Yeah.
So that is the main insight I got from this essentialism. And there are folks who have got like great success by applying this principle. Just like Steve Jobs or even MS Dhoni, the famous cricketer, and airlines like Southwest Airlines, who have applied this principle and they have achieved like tremendous success. And that's where I felt the need for this topic. And I'm very much excited to present this topic today with the PLA team or PLA family, I should say.
Absolutely. And it is a topic needed more than ever. You're so right. So many of us are overly distracted on all this excess instead of
Mhm.
really focusing on what's most important and that will create the most impact, the most productivity, the most happiness, etc. And it's just been an absolute pleasure having you on the PLA podcast. For anyone who is curious, by the way, of about PLA and they just want a little bit more information, I'm going to put a QR code up on the screen. This QR code is to the next free training. Even if you never hear of PLA again, just coming to this workshop will blow your mind in terms of the quality, the tools you will learn, and the results you will get even within the time frame of the workshop. I've been more times than I can count because I've gotten so much value out of it, and I've absolutely loved what the founders have put together. So I'm just putting this out there for anyone who is curious. You are always welcome to come. It's a free workshop that they host pretty regularly. Brad, I just wanted to thank you so much for your time today and your expertise and your wisdom. It's been an absolute treat having you and looking forward to having you again on the PLA podcast.
Thank you so much, Dunia. Yes, it's a pleasure for me as well. It's my first podcast, and I really enjoyed your questions and conversations. It felt like just talking to a friend, right? Thank you so much for hosting, and I'm looking forward to more of my podcasts with you in the future.
A true treat, truly. And we're looking forward to having you on again, definitely. And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in to another episode. And we will catch you all so soon. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Bye.